interesting workshop earlier today, and that's exactly what we are heading back to. We did mention how the workshop is going to have a second module that we'd love to bring out for you all, and that's exactly what we're about to unveil up next, setting up our stage just for that. We also very soon will be starting with the facilitation ceremony, and I'm sure all our leaders are looking forward to that very exciting segment. So a lot of things that we'll be unveiling here. We'll be bringing to you some very interesting success stories from achievers, from our leaders in the infrastructure industry. But before all of that, it's a lot about learning, and like we mentioned, that all of you will receive a certificate for completing the workshop, which is why, once again, as we move into our workshop, the second module in driving success, strategic leadership in infrastructure product management, I'd like to excitedly welcome on stage Professor Rajiv Nehru, Dean, L&T, Institute of Project Management. May I request all of you all to please welcome him with a round of applause. A reminder to please scan the QR code on the screen. That's how you will receive your certificate in your email address. Thank you.
This is okay. Am I audible? Yeah. Thank you. The second leg, earlier we just talked about two things. One was the planning strategies. Obviously, I can't give solutions here. Depends on the projects. And the second was on the risk strategies. Okay. Can change this if you have the. Second was on the risk management strategies. The three types of risks which we listed. The treatment is obviously different from project to project. Okay. It's not here. Not here. Okay. Next, third strategic input here, primarily which I would like to put forth to you, is contracts. Okay. Now, as a main contractor, I may not be able to decide the contract type, but I can always decide the strategy for contracting. So, let me just brief you what we are doing in L&T right now, if I'm allowed to say so. We are preparing an AI model to study the contracts pre-tender. And in that AI model, we are using something called NLP. Have you heard of NLP? Let's have a dialogue. Have you heard of NLP? What's NLP? Oh, hello. Yeah. Anybody heard of NLP? NLP? NLP is called natural language processing. Natural language processing means that when I read a contract document, whatever clauses in the contract document which create a doubt are taken out. And those are converted into commercial terms, in terms of time or cost. This is basically an AI model. Okay. Now, related to this, somebody was discussing that we have a huge problem of having good engineers for projects. We don't get good talent. We don't get good people for the site or projects. The problem is a mismatch. The problem is that you expect an engineer from an engineering college to talk about concrete, M20, M30, M40, cycle time. But he is learning, what is he learning? He is learning Raspberry Pi. You know what is Raspberry Pi? You know what is Raspberry Pi? Any idea? Okay. Raspberry Pi is a microcontroller computer which can convert ML into AI. So he's learning that and he's fascinated by that. And you ask him, concrete कितना M20 होता है, कितना cement डालेगा, कितना गाड़ा डालेगा, कितना पानी. He is not interested. Mismatch. Okay. So he's not ready for the site, and site wants people like that. So that's one. Leave it there. The input part is there. There's a problem. The other part is contracts, where we are using this AI through a model called MCDM, multi-criteria decision making. Have you heard of it? Multi-criteria decision making, MCDM. Okay. There's no harm in not hearing about things because we always hear something first time. So it's a model based on AHP. AHP means analytical hierarchical programming. What it means basically, if I want to give a subcontract to a one agency, what are the parameters I am going to list there in terms of my parameters of selection? Okay. One parameter could be quality, could be technology, could be cost, could be planning, could be safety, could be quality, anything. So that is my parameter. So this MCDM, multi-criteria decision making, helps you to choose a contractor based on the criteria which you have chosen as a higher criteria. If you think, if you say my first criteria is quality, cost can be maybe less, number two, number three, number four, number five. So first you decide what category you want or what criteria you want, and then based on that you choose the subcontractor. So this is a strategy one could use for giving subcontract. As I said, why subcontract? Because as a main contractor, you are bound by the client's decision. You are not there to decide which type of contract you will give, because the client will decide whether it's EPC, whether it's LSTK, lump sum, item rate, and things like that. So that probably is a issue here. Okay. Now there is always a problem while we calculate the risks in the project when we are doing a contract as a contractor. You have enumerated risks in the project, which we have discussed. Now, many of us use a word contingency, if you have done costing, that 5% or amount we put at contingency. And we assume that 5% of the amount will carry all the risks which you have not thought or you have not calculated, and it will take care of it. It's not possible, impossible. If you have forgotten this, which will only be 5% of the project cost, it's impossible, it won't happen. So don't get into that category. One more word we get it's a very glamorous word, management reserve. Any idea what it is when you do costing? What is the management reserve? The management reserve is not for the site. The management reserve is for the head office people who are managing the project from that level. So don't use it for the risks which you have forgotten to manage on sites, then the head office will pay for it. It won't happen. Okay. So idea here is the total cost will be the total project cost plus the cost of risk, all the three risks which are given there. Known, known, known unknown, and unknown unknown. Okay. So don't try to use these contingency and management reserve for circumventing risk cost. Okay, as a strategy for contract management. Okay. This is something very, very critical. Have you heard of this MSRDC story? We have a beautiful project in Mumbai, the Bandravali Sea Link. Many of you would have gone through. HCC has built it. Beautiful project. I mean, I was part of the, whatever examples I'm giving you, I'm from my own projects. So, why did that project have a huge cost overrun? Any idea? Almost a claim of 850 crores. You know why? Any idea? A project had 850 crore, maybe a 2000 crore project had a claim of 850 crores. How is it possible? And why it came through? Because one stakeholder, which we thought we were managing, we did not manage. And the stakeholder, who was the stakeholder? Any idea? Who was the stakeholder for the Sea Link project? The fishermen. The fishermen. Now, the fishermen came and they stopped the project. They said, because of the pairs you are making in the sea, the pairs are blocking the movement of my fish. And because of that movement, they cannot reproduce. And if they cannot reproduce, what will I eat? So for 2 years, project is off. And it costed the company 850 crores. Because that stakeholder could have been managed better, but there was some, I will not use the word political motive, but yes, that issue was there. So are you caring of the are you taking care of the stakeholders? Yes or no? That is one very important thing. Are you forgetting them, like the risks which are unknown? They are there, but they need to be managed. So this is a strategy we'll need for stakeholder collaboration. This many people have talked about, and this is the basic thing where the problem goes off the way. Like L&T has a credit period of 70 days, my vendor will have 90 days and so on and so forth. So we're creating a liability and interest down the line. So probably I'm not the right person to talk about financial planning. I'm not a financial man, but probably this is where things go wrong as a strategy. Okay, can we play the film, please? Can we play the film, please? I'll show you a project film which is not Infra, but I will call it Infra because it is 25 lakh square feet of building in 18 months. So, okay. This is a project in Pune called Rohan Abhilasha. This project was, you can mute the volume, I will be the commentator. Mute the volume. This is built by a technology called tunnel form. The technology was taken from Turkey. This has the capacity of making one slab per day, one floor per day, cycle time. That means in 24 hours, you make the mold, put the mold in, you de-strip, just stop, stop, stop there, stop. Okay. So in 24 hours, you put the mold in, you put the reinforcement, and after 11 hours, M30 grade concrete, you de-shutter with secondary propping. Okay. So now if you go back to the engineering college says that my concrete achieves 50% of the strength in 7 days, isn't it? But that is wrong. That's totally wrong. It's not linked to time. It's linked to how much it can achieve in terms of strength. So when should you de-shutter? The theory says when it achieves 50% of the strength. So if M30 becomes M15, you can de-shutter. Okay? That is the logic. So I am reaching M17.5 in this case in 9 hours. Post that, I am de-shuttering the mold and put secondary propping and take the mold somewhere else. Okay. Now, in this way, in 24 hours, I get one slab cycle. Okay. Now, this building is in India, not abroad. Building is built 10 years back, still standing. So, there is no failure case here. Okay. So, that's a proof of pudding. Now, the problem was here. Can you identify this machine? Can you identify this machine? So, it's just again the strategy of planning. It took us 1 year to plan the project and 18 months to finish the project. So total project was 2 years and 8 months. Okay, but 1 year to plan the project. What is this machine? Any idea? This machine is a simple welding machine. Okay, but the problem is it can weld only 8, 10 and 15, 8, 10 and 12 millimeter bars. That is the one problem. So what we had to do, we had to go back to the drawing board, go to the structural designer, convert the design from a torch steel frame to a mesh steel frame. You know why? Because if I want to do one slab per day, if I want to do 30 lakh square feet in 18 months, I need 18 tons of steel per day. That means I need 150 fitters a day on a single site, which is impossible in the Pune market or any market. Getting 150 fitters on a single site is one, it's impossible. Second is a safety hazard. If I have so many fitters, it's a safety hazard. So my only natural choice was machine. And this is good old China, very cheap machine, 45 lakh rupee machine. Gives out 18 tons per day with 6 labor, 6 people. Okay. Not only we made steel for this site, we also supplied steel to neighboring sites because it's a Marwadi company, so we build, we make profit and always support others. So this was done. Okay. Because labor was the issue, it was not mechanization. See what was driving us: labor shortages, okay, economy, speed, cycle time. And the idea was why this project was to be done in 18 months, because there was a loan taken from the company which we had to return in 18 months, if otherwise the interest load is too high. So all is linked to business. Okay. Yeah, please go on. Just go a little back. Yeah, stop. This, what is this? Anybody identifies? What is this? It is a precast staircase. Okay. Somebody said about GGBS. Somebody said, who said about GGBS in the morning? Anybody said about GGBS? Ground granulated blast furnace slag cement. This is GGBS. Now in Delhi, I am surprised we are talking about GGBS today. In Bangalore, I used the GGBS in 2009. Buildings there. 2009, we have made buildings, we have got out of it. Now, what advantage GGBS has? Very simply, if you go with the CBRI Roorkee formulation, it saves 70% cement directly. So, if you just look at the costing on a M30 1 cubic meter, it saves almost 1,000 rupees per cubic meter. Okay, and it's available. That GGBS is available now very freely. In fact, Jindal is even supplying it in bags. Okay, so that's the advantage of using an eco-friendly material. Now, can you do precasting on all sides? Is it possible? What is required if you want to do precasting on all sides? Precasting is fast, easy, more dimension control, okay, less labor. What is required? Only two things are required. One tinting plate and one stressing equipment, period. Which you can do on the basement or on the parking of your building. It's so simple. Okay, anyway, please go ahead. Yeah, this is the machine. We can do mesh every 50 centimeter. We can change the spacing. 6.25 meter by 3.3 meter. This is the site. Very clean, as you can see. It's Pune City 2014 site. This is the tunnel mold. Okay. This blue sheet is basically we did do some gas curing so that to speed up the setting of concrete. 11 hours we had cycle time was there. These are the blockouts for doors. We don't need a carpenter. We just need a fitter. All nut and bolt. Hopper. Concrete requirement was almost 100 cubic meter per hour. So we had 4 batching plants there. Okay. Now this is, just stop here. Just stop here. Stop. What is this? Any idea? Yeah, this one. In a single pour, I can cast my footing trapezoidal as well as a 4-meter column. Single pour. And this was done by us on the site. This is our fabrication. I mean, our means the company Rohan. We have made it with the welders there. We have made it on the site. You can see those slots here, basically for vibration. Okay. And the single pour. So I saved 2 days per footing. If you have 230 footings, you can save. You can know how many days you will save with say one set of 30 sets. So we saved. So one more speeding up strategy was this. Okay. Next. You can see that how we aligned on the site. This is the basic standard equipment. This is stop. This is any idea what this is? This is a precast tilting table. Just one table, 3 lakh rupees. And one pre-stretching machine, 2 lakh rupees. And 5 lakh rupees you can do pre-stretching at site. It's extremely simple. Provided you are able to want to do the experiment. If you don't want to make any change, if you want to be without any hassle, then that's the other thing. Otherwise, you want to do some experimentation, it's not expensive. Only problem with this, when you cast that big say this slab on the mold, you will have to put iron planks here and magnets here to make it as like a frame, and then on that you pour the concrete. That magnet itself are costing 20,000 rupees, each magnet. So the problem is not of the table, the problem is of people taking away those magnets home and selling it somewhere else. So problem is different. Okay. Next. This is a spreader machine. Very simple. Now, the strategy here was stop. Strategy was that while I am making it's a monolithic construction, I want to do speed work fast, I want to do 1 slab per day. I also wanted to do conduiting and laying of pipes at the same time. So we developed some vendors within the Pune city where we could do all the electrical piping, all the conduiting at the time of laying concrete. That saved us a lot of time. Next. So in 18 months, we did 25 lakh square feet of concreting and 25 lakh square feet of finishing of the concreting run. So it shows a 3-day, every day we have alternate day we have a slab, but then we finally came to 1 day per cycle. You can see 1 day slab cycle. Normally, you will be surprised now in a monolithic construction like this, G+16, we will use almost 3.5 to 4 kgs of steel, isn't it? 4 kgs of steel we use normally. Here the steel consumption was 2.8 kilos per square feet, just 2.8 kilos per square feet. The thickness of the wall is 160, slab is 120 mm. The building is still standing, so please don't worry about it. You can go to Pune city and see. After 10 years, it's still there. Okay. So now, biggest strategy was here to train the engineers, the people who had never exposure to this project, such type of a construction, how to manage such a project. So planning. See, if the formwork comes on the ground, that means your planning is failed. The formwork should not come on the ground till it is the last forming. So formwork has to move from place to place. So for that, we made a plan called index plan, and it moved everywhere till the last, before the last pour, it came down. Okay, that was basically the idea of entire planning. So this was one more strategy to make sure that efficiency comes in. Okay, if you can see the finish is just form finish. You don't even need a painting or plaster on that. It's just pure form finish. Except there's some starters. You can see the impressions here with the starters. But if you grind them, we grind them bitter. This is not ungrinded. If you grind them here, the starters here, okay, it will become very smooth. Okay. Right. Next was, as we said, linked to environment. We follow ESG norms. We have now sustainable reporting as usually need to do it. So a lot of as GGBS is used here. First time in this project, we used cast in situ retaining walls, height of 6 meters, cast in situ, precast retaining walls. First time in this project, which saved a lot of time because in a 1 lakh square feet building normally it would take on at least 30 days to do cast in situ, but in this building, we finished actually only in 11 days. Okay. So idea, what was the idea? Idea was construction was there, buildings were made, sold. But what happened to the company? This company, Rohan, transformed from a 500 crore company to a 2500 crore company in 18 months with this revenue. So the mindset from a very small builder to a medium scale or an honorable level turnover builder came in all 18 months, and the change which happened in people was dramatic in the mindsets, in the way they thought, the way they could plan the projects, the way they could reconcile, the quality, the safety was inbuilt. So all that happened, and a huge change in people happened because ultimately it's people. People make companies, people run companies, people exceed in the companies which they make. So this was based an efficient organization was developed and the strategies which were involved through the one simple technology which we bought from Turkey. Okay, so this was all about this. My time is also up. Now, basically, what we are trying to look here, see, in the morning also, today also, having a workshop of 30 minutes is impossible because you can't really bring about a debate on things. But idea is, these are the ideas to think about. And it has been done already. It's not that it is hypothetical or it's like bullet train, for example. If you look at bullet train, which we are doing, it has just 8 activities, just 8. The only problem is you have to multiply that 8 activities number of times. What is activity? We have the foundation.